Hi guys, in this culminating video of text functions in the series of 3 or 4 that I've done with length, right, left, search, and so forth, we're going to be putting them all together and splitting the contents of column A into first name and last name, separating them, okay, with a function. Of course, we can just type Mike for the first name and Swick for the last name. But how about if we have a column of thousands of names, which happens in Excel and in problems in real world, where you don't have time, you don't have days to do such a menial task, and so you can just use your cleverness and your Excel skills to split the contents of this cell into what you need, which is first name and last name. We have already learned how to concatenate when it's already separated, like over here, into one. We know how to go from here to here, and that's actually quite easier, and you could check out my video called Excel Concatenate Function. But to go from here to actually split it and split it properly, taking into account different lengths of first and last names, is a much more involved process, because we have to account for the lengths of where the cutoff is going to happen, and that could be different for everybody. But one thing we know we can start off is the assumption that there is a first name, a space, or a comma. In this case I'm using a space, but a common character that separates the two columns. Of course, we can use the text to columns function and split the cells, but here we're using our Excel skills, because if you build them this way with functions, we will actually be able to expand these kind of things and be able to do cooler things with them. So, for the purposes of edification and maybe practicality, let's jump right in. Let's do the first name. So the first name actually in this text string is Mike, right? So we have to somehow tell Excel to start at the end, find out where this space occurs, and then give me everything to the right of that space. And the way I did that was using the right command, the length command, and the search command. Now let's recreate that. Equals right. Now search in this cell, okay, from the right. How many spaces? Well, sorry, not search. Go from the right of this text string, starting with E and then K, so forth. And now I have to tell it how many. Well, I know Mike is 4 characters, so I can just say 4, and it will give me Mike. But how do I get Excel to find that number 4 out? Well, we can get the entire length of this text string. How about if we do that? And that's 12, I happen to know that. And using the length function, and then subtract from that entire length the length of the first, the last name, this part, up to and including the space, thereby leaving us with the number of characters at the end of that string. So the first thing is, again, to get the length of the entire text string, which I know is 12. And if you haven't built up to this and this is confusing, you should go back and watch the left, right, and length video, as well as the search video, as well as other text videos that I've done. Okay, because this all builds up. This is a series that builds up to here. So anyway, getting right back to it. How do I get the number 4 here? Well, I get the length of the entire text string, which is 12, and then I subtract from that number the first instance from the left of the space. So in quotes I put a space, and I use the search command, comma, cell A5. So this will start from the left and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where it will find the space. And length command will count 12 characters in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the space, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, 10. I've been saying 12. Okay? So then it's going to be, the length command is going to give us 10, and the search for the space from left to right command is going to give us 6, and then we're going to do length command minus search command, and we're going to get 4, and that 4 is going to go back into the right command, and it's going to give us the counting from the right, the 4 characters from the right, which is going to be our first name. Now let's get back into this function. It's hard to keep track of all this. So we're in right, we're searching cell A5, then we're doing length A5, which is going to give us 10, then we're doing minus search for the first space from left to right in cell A5. We close that parentheses, and then we close the parentheses for the right command, and we get Mike. Well, that's pretty impressive if it works for everything. Let's see if it can get us all these. And it does. It gets us all our first names. Mike, Miroslav, Sean, Milan, and Mike, and Ardalan, sorry, are all here, as you can see. Okay? So let's see that one more time. Basically, we're using the right command, which we've learned in the previous video, will give us a certain number of characters in a text string counting from the right. What is that text string? Well, this is the text string. Where, actually, yeah. How many characters from the right do you want? Well, I want 4 for this guy, but I don't want to type in 4. Instead, I want Excel to be able to calculate that. So I get the length of the entire text string. That's the length command, and that is 10. And then I subtract from 10 the number of characters before Mike, which is the last name up to and including the space, which the search command will give us. So it's minus the search command finds the first space, the position of the first space, and sorry, that's 6, and then we get 4, and that's why it reduces to right equals A5 comma 4, and then that's how we get Mike. Even though this says A6, A6, and A6, that's because we're looking at that, but it's the same formula dragged down, so don't get confused by that A6. Okay? So that's how to get the first name. How to get the last name? Well, the last name is even easier because it appears first in this text string. So let's use the equals left command, and then we're going to search in this text box, in this cell, sorry, comma, we're going to search for the first space. And then, so what is that going to give us? It's going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as we got before. We don't want 6 though. We don't want it to include the space. So we want whenever it finds a space, we want that number minus 1. So actually we want left A5 comma 5. So the way to do that is to go back in after the search command gets us 6 for this first row. We want it to subtract 1 from that number. And we get Swick as expected, and we could drag that down, and you see it even works for the longer last name here. Even if I would make this last name even longer, both these functions you see work properly. They adjust. Okay? Now, if you are not familiar with the left function and the right function, this could have been very confusing, and maybe it seems like a bad explanation, but this video is meant to be watched after you've watched the left function, right function, length function. That's one video. The search function video. Okay? If you use those, if you've got those down pat, I told you in those videos that will build up to a useful skill, and that is separating the contents of a cell. based on a certain character. In our case, it's a space. It could have been a comma, and then we would have searched for a comma. It could have been anything, and we would have found it, okay, using the search command. So I hope this video was helpful. Be sure to check out my other Excel, Access, PowerPoint, Math, Statistics, and Computer Tricks tutorial videos on my channel. Subscribe while you're there. Actually, subscribe right now in the top left of this video player, and click on our sponsors ads. That's what keeps these videos coming to you for free. Till next time, thanks for watching and have a great day.